Massey Energy, of course, a controversial company that has many safety violations against it. Its CEO, Don Blankenship, in the words of West Virginia Senator Jay Rockefeller, a controversial man who likes to do things his way.
Well, we know that the mine had ventilation plan violations, and they had 6 violations since January. The last ventilation violation was on March 30th.
And there have been 6, you hate to, sort of everybody looks at the violations, and there's been a lot of them. I listened to another mine safety expert a little while ago, and she said clearly, she said Massey overall has done a good job. They won a couple of awards for improving their safety conditions, and that most of their places are very safe, but that this place, she said, has raised a lot of concerns for some time. In fact, they had 6 ventilation-oriented violations just since January.
Well, that's correct, and I think your previous interview was correct.
We can't know whether there was neglect. We can't know whether there were safety violations that played strictly into this. We can't know that yet, but we do know, because we have the facts in front of us, that they have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. That they've been cited hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times at this mine for safety violations like improper ventilation and poorly labeled exit paths. And on the surface, that certainly doesn't sound good, and I'm sure it doesn't feel good.
Now, you have what has been described by many mining experts as a poor safety record at this particular mine. Have you compromised the safety of your miners?
Governor, this particular mine had a history. This company has had is run by Performance Coal. This particular mine, though, had a number of problems with it. Are you confident that it was safe to go in?
And I don't think it's time for a bunch of blame putting now. I mean, you got to take care of the people first. But I wondered if that had been a concern of yours, these safety violations that we are hearing so much about now.
Senator Rockefeller described you to me a few minutes ago as a controversial man who likes to do things his way, and Massey Energy as a company that drags the safety violation accusations through the courts for year after year while carrying on doing exactly the same thing you've been accused of doing in violating safety rules. Is that fair?
What they were cited for was not being able to dilute and carry away the methane. They had accumulation of combustible materials. They would have had to have cleaned that up. But the fact that there were so many of these violations since January, and the fact that MSHA had an ongoing presence at that mine, tells me that they were being somewhat hypervigilant and watching over that mine, and that there were problems that they were trying to correct.
And they did find problems. The mine is fighting the violations, or has been fighting the violations for which it was cited, and then there's an explosion. I mean, there are a bunch of dots on this page. We can't connect them yet, but they don't look pretty there. That's all I'm saying.
Massey Energy owns this mine. It's one of the nation's top coal producers, is among the industry's most profitable. The company does, though, have a spotty safety record that we're learning more about this morning. In just the past year, we're told that federal inspectors fined the company nearly $400,000 for repeated violations involving ventilation plans and equipment at this Upper Big Branch mine.
So Massey Energy bears no responsibility in your mind at all in any way for the tragedy that has occurred here and the loss at the moment of 25 lives?
Sounds to me like you're trying to make statements instead of ask questions.
That's a question. I said, do you bear any responsibility at all? There's a question mark at the end of that sentence. Do you bear any responsibility?
However, this particular mine is incredibly troubling. They had 50 unwarrantable failure violations last year. That's an elevated enforcement action taken on the part of the government. And I've not seen any other mine with 50 unwarrantable failure violations in 1 year. They've had 6 so far this year. So something is going on at that mine.
But this mine has seen 3 previous fatalities since 1995, all 3 apparently isolated cases. In that same time, the company's been cited for more than 3,000 violations, 614 in just the last 2 years. And the Federal Mining Safety and Health Administration, or MSHA, has proposed $1.5 million in fines against Massey. Some of the violations for which the company has been cited, Shep, include, specifically at this mine, a faulty ventilation plan.